I titled today's mind map, Depolarize Yourself from Undesirable Aspects of the Past. Today we're going to continue our conversation from the perspective of ideal relationships. What everyone is looking for is ideal relationships with others or self, which is the same as relationships with others reflect the relationship with self. So this is about how you personally would define ideal relationships, whatever kind of relationships, personal, business, etc., and having those relationships. And on the journey to realizing those relationships, bringing awareness to certain inharmonious beliefs in mind and releasing them so you can have a flow-based, effortless journey to realizing the relationships that you desire. And then when you experience those relationships, you can enjoy those relationships and not have those beliefs play out. Because you have brought awareness to them, the undesirable ones, and release them. So when we experience our relationships, we experience them through the filter of beliefs. And this is true whether we are aware of them or not. As I remember something Carl Jung had said, he said something like, until we make the unconscious conscious, we could allow it to direct our life and call it fate. And that is true for inharmonious and harmonious beliefs. Now, it's actually quite easy to identify inharmonious beliefs and release them. And the entire process is actually fun. If one considers this to be difficult or not fun, release identification to that meta belief. And by meta belief, I'm referring to a belief about beliefs. I suggest incorporating the following meta beliefs. Number one, bringing awareness to and releasing inharmonious beliefs is easy and fun. And number two, I can get myself to accept whatever is true from my heart and intuition easily and fun. Now, in Sunday's video, I also discussed this a bit. I mentioned it by saying one could roam around this world undesirably polarized, like a puppet, to information on the screen of space, reflective of past inharmonious beliefs, although unconscious, and calling it fate, rather than accepting how they truly desire to be. And so we hold beliefs about ourselves, whether we are aware of them or not. And the good news is we can become aware of them by the simple practice of observation. Observing what we are thinking, how we are emotionally relating, and behaving in relationships without shame or condemnation. This brings awareness to the beliefs, and as we observe them with pure observation, and by that I mean observation without self-condemnation or self-judgment, we understand what is really going on. For example, I remember a while back being very insecure in relationships. It was a belief that I held from my past of how I imagined relationships to be. And this pattern would play out again and again. And a part of me thought it was normal. That was the part of me that was in denial. And also, interestingly, at the same time, it felt undesirable. Now, at a certain point, as I was experiencing this inner conflict, I would numb myself, pretending that everything was fine, which may include logically trying to convince myself that it was normal, even though intuition would say otherwise. And I subconsciously perpetuated this belief to the point where friends at times not only had the same pattern, but they would also seem to indicate that this insecure way of thinking and behaving was normal. It's interesting how when we believe something to be a certain way, we may also find ourselves surrounded by others who believe the same thing. And what was interesting, the belief was not only further perpetuated, but also further encouraged by them, saying to me that this is just the way it is. That's just the way it works in relationships. Or, in other words, accept it as fate. And good thing for intuition. I knew that something didn't feel right about that. This is what we call groupthink. And if you're not familiar with groupthink is an unconscious psychological phenomena that occurs within a group of friends or associates where, although they may try to maintain a common direction of harmony, the unconscious beliefs of people-pleasing or approval-seeking or validation-seeking distort and may even suppress or repress effective opinions or alternative viewpoints for discussion in favor of maintaining agreement to certain unconscious beliefs, even if they're not helpful. As a result, decision-making becomes flawed, and intuition, alongside diverse perspectives, may be suppressed. And so thus, in environments and social situations, it's essential for your development to recognize and mitigate groupthink and to not involve yourself in it when appropriate. Also, if you're a psychology connoisseur like me, you may remain for a period reading between the lines and observing the patterns for your education without being involved in it. And with this kept into consideration, always remember this entire journey to realizing your ideal relationships starts with a vision. You imagine it to be a certain way, and that's how it happens. And we remain aware, without overthinking, of any kind of inharmonious subconscious beliefs that play out, such as, for example, groupthink situations, which may involve courage to look beyond, to have the relationships you desire. As Steve Jobs said in his commencement speech, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you want to become. Everything else is secondary. Now, on the journey to realizing your vision, and this could be on dates, meeting up with friends, interaction with coworkers, business partners, we want to regard awareness as our best friend. Where you find awareness, there you also find intuition. This is the position of the observer. I always say you are aware and you are aware of, or we could say you are aware of what you desire and what you do not desire. And you have this ability to discern with awareness. Otherwise, one would accept whatever, a mix of desirable and undesirable, and call it fate, and being a puppet by surrendering free will to those past undesirable beliefs. And so the way we apply this is, whenever you are with anyone or in a group, remain aware of how you feel. If something doesn't feel right during the interaction, you have the option to change how you relate to it or do something different. It could be one of those things or a combination of those things. You know the answer via intuition by remaining in the position of pure observation. And so we don't want to deny ourselves these options because of identification to a past belief that is distorting our intuition, causing us to repeat the same cycle. Intuition is beyond belief. So it could be one of those things or a combination. And if the belief persists, I recommend after the interaction, writing down inharmonious beliefs that showed up and having a conversation with yourself to release identification to them. Like you would with a friend or a mentor, only you do it with yourself. And this is also how you become your own best friend. And so we're going to go over 3 questions you can ask yourself after the experience to reveal the belief that caused you to become polarized. Always remember, who you truly are will never cause you to be polarized. Formless awareness is beyond belief, one with intuition, yet beyond belief, as stated by Neville Goddard, which we discussed in Sunday's video, which I'll link to in the description. He said, the spiritual self speaks to the natural self through the language of desire. The key to progress and to fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. So in summary thus far, number 1, you are formless awareness, and thus you are beyond belief. Number 2, you already know what you want, and you already know how to get there via your intuition. Number 3, we bring awareness to the undesirable beliefs through awareness of polarization. Number 4, a person polarizes based on beliefs all day long, whether they are desirable or undesirable, and whether they are aware of them or not. Number 5, thus, many beliefs are helpful for life experiences, and then there are those that are not. The ones that are helpful are experienced as everything is happening, flowing, naturally, automatically, and ideally, everything I touch turns to gold, etc. And so number 6, helpful equals desirable, and unhelpful equals undesirable. Then number 7, polarization to undesirable beliefs, which were once unconscious, is revealed by how we think, feel, or behave, which is not what we consider ideal. And here's the key. To an obvious or even subtle degree. Again, intuition. Listen to the still, soft voice beyond mental chatter and belief. Now let's take an example scenario to go through an easy and fun series of questions and an easy and fun, simple inner conversation to bring awareness to and release identification to undesirable beliefs. So if a person says something to you, and from that experience you become reactive, this is polarization, a belief that has been brought to awareness. At that point, you can observe without reacting, and it will release. And if you find it challenging, that's fine. No need to shame or condemn ourselves. We can bring awareness to that belief and release it via self-talk. So it could be an experience like this. You were in an ideal state of mind, and then unconsciously you were polarized into another state of mind, which is based on being polarized through a belief. You ended up in an undesirable state of mind. This is because of a subconscious belief, and here's the key. We don't want to shame or condemn ourselves. We instead bring awareness to the belief and release it through self-talk. Again, like you would with a good friend or a mentor. And when you do, you'll find that you are no longer polarized in that situation. So here are 3 good questions to ask yourself if you experience undesirable polarization. Number 1, what was I thinking or feeling about myself during that polarizing experience? Number 2, what was I thinking or feeling about the other person as a result of that polarizing experience? Number 3, what was I thinking or feeling about our relationship as a result of that polarizing experience? This reveals the belief. Let's say the belief was not being good enough. Remember, this world is made up of beliefs, and you don't have to believe what doesn't resonate with how you are ideally. You bring these beliefs to awareness and release identification to them with self-talk. And I like to work with some Robert Dill's NLP language patterns as they clear up the beliefs easily and fun. Let's use hierarchy of criteria, change frame size, and redefine. Now, just one or few or a number in combination will release the belief easily. And as mentioned, you get the added benefit of being more of your own best friend. And that's priceless. And since many who watch my videos are Neville Goddard fans, note the degree of being his own best friend he exemplified and encouraged. It's priceless. So first we have hierarchy of criteria. This is where we take that experience and relate it to the criteria of being our ideal now. You can say to yourself, well, that person saying I'm not good enough revealed how important it is to listen to myself and trust myself beyond opinion and past beliefs. And since I'm able to have this conversation now, this means I am my ideal now. Then we have changing frame size, which can be looked at as projecting out in time. You could say to yourself, over time, I'll continue to notice that people's comments don't throw me out of my ideal state of mind, as they never did. It was only a past belief, which I now no longer identify with, and thus they can only amplify my ideal state, no matter what or how they say whatever. And then we have redefine, and this one's also a lot of fun, and it's easily done instantly, real time as well. For example, if they say you're not good enough, in my mind I say that they actually meant by saying that I am good enough. And you can add your own reason to it if you'd like, if you find that helpful. You see, reality works the way you believe it does. So you have the ability to interpret what is being said in a way that causes you to go into an undesirable state of mind or remain in your ideal state of mind. It's really up to you. Remember, you are formless awareness, and you give form to reality by your beliefs. And there are infinite beliefs, and choose whatever ones you'd like in these inner conversations for the desired effect in relation to your vision of ideal relationships. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's go ahead and conclude this with an autosuggestion to further encourage. You could say, my ability to observe with understanding increases each day, bringing to awareness what was once unconscious in a fun, joyful way, as I remain in my ideal state of consciousness wherever I go and wherever I am, being my best friend, experienced inside as inner conversations, exemplified as ideal relationships inside, which project outside as far as the senses perceive as ideal relationships in all areas of my life. I realize that this was always happening on this bridge of incidents of acknowledgement that I am already the ideal I desire to be, refracted out as ideal relationships of love and spirit of harmony with all, wherever I am. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.